this up easily. Walking in, it's okay. We can sing them in, everybody. Sing them in. La 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 la. No, that's okay. That's it. Wait for me. Wait for me. Yantiv, everybody. Good Yantiv. Shabbat Shalom. Good Yantiv. I have a favor to ask all of you. I have a favor. It's so important for us to be ready. It's so important for us to be ready on a year like no other. And God willing, a year like no other ever again. It's so important for us to enter into Kol Nidre in the right heart space. You know what I mean? Yeah? Does that make sense? So I need us to preheat this space together with our hearts and with our voices. Does that make sense? I'm sure you're so excited to see people, and that's so holy. It's sacred. And for now, and just for a moment, I'm just going to want us to sing together and begin to calibrate and kind of create a space for our voices, our collective harmonies and longings. This is once a year, achat b'shana. I promise you, God willing, you'll have time to catch up. But just seeing each other is so beautiful, and then singing together sets the space for us, yeah? So this beautiful song, written by a rabbi named Kolmas Kalman Shapira, known as the Rebbe of Piazetzner, also known as the Rebbe of the Warsaw Ghetto. A big soul. And so we'll sing it together. Find your way together. Let's listen up, because we're not performing. We're pray-forming together. We're just going to be together in prayer tonight. If you're at home watching, we hope you're going to sing with us as well. Find your voice. Sing that again. Beautiful. Or D, everyone. Here we go, everybody. This poem is titled A Vow. By my eyes which witnessed the slaughter, by my heart that was weighed down by cries for justice, by my compassion that taught me to pardon, until the days came that were too terrible to forgive, I have sworn to remember it all, to remember nothing to forget. Forget not one thing to the last generation, until my indignation shall be extinguished. When the staff of my moral rebuke shall have struck until exhausted, a vow, lest for nothing shall the night of terror have passed. A vow, lest for nothing shall I return to my want, without having learned anything, even this time. The Israeli poet Avraham Shlonsky composed a vow for Pesach in 1943 after reading early reports about the Nazi extermination of European Jewry. Its Hebrew name is Nidre, which traditionally refers to the Kol Nidre ceremony, which promulgates the official forgiveness of all unfulfilled vows before Yom Kippur. In this case, the vow is a response to the Holocaust. However, the poet refuses to be absolved of his vow to remember. Instead, he pledges his eternal righteous indignation lest we forget and lest we learn nothing from our experience. Shlonsky's poem is quoted in the Kibbutz Haggadah of Nachal Oz from 1956. And immediately after the traditional text, Shvo Chamatcha, pour out your wrath, and next to the poem is a handmade drawing of an olive branch and a sword. 67 years later, on October 7th, 2023, many of those kibbutz members, including several of the original founders, now quite elderly, were murdered, while many others were abducted to Gaza and are still there as hostages. As we prepare for Kol Nidre, we stand at a threshold marked by the weight of our unkept promises, commitments, and responsibilities, and the longing to be those who know which promises to make and have the will to keep them. This haunting prayer, Kol Nidre, that we are about to hear, is a profound acknowledgement of human frailty, a confession that even our best intentions sometimes fall short and our vows can be broken. This year, Kol Nidre holds even deeper resonance as we confront our commitments and the devastating promises that were broken and that shook us all on October 7th. The events of that day laid bare our collective vulnerability. The promise of protection, which every Israeli holds sacred, was suddenly and tragically shaken. The security the IDF vowed to uphold felt fractured, and we felt the repercussions of that broken trust in our hearts. The silence, or worse, the equivocation of allies who did not condemn such horrific violence struck as a betrayal, revealing fragile bonds where we had expected solidarity. And in the hesitation of Western nations to offer unambiguous support, we felt the faltering of moral commitments we had believed were resolute. Kol Nidre calls us to face these ruptures head on. It doesn't offer excuses, but invites us to see our vulnerability clearly. It allows us to acknowledge where our trust may have been misplaced and to grieve the pain of promises unmet. And it also beckons us, painfully but powerfully, to release ourselves from illusions and confront the hard truth that even our deepest alliances may sometimes fail us. And yet, Kol Nidre is not only a reckoning, but also a doorway. In its raw honesty, this prayer clears the space for something new, a recommitment to each other as a community, as a people, and as individuals bound by shared history, hope, and shared responsibility. In facing these broken promises, we are invited to vow new ones and embrace the opportunity for renewal, to take on the role of guardians, protectors, and steadfast allies for one another in a way that others may not. Tonight, as we listen to the ancient stirring words of Kol Nidre, invite us to hold space for the weight of these broken promises, while also reigniting our resolve. May we emerge with a renewed commitment to be those who keep our promises to our community, to our people, to our loved ones, and to the world around us. May we be the allies, the protectors, and the unwavering supporters who stand firm, bound by our sacred vows to one another. Amen. Come, come, wherever you are, even if you've broken your vows 1,000 times. Come, come again. Come, come, whoever you are, even if you've broken your vows 1,000 times. Come, come again. Come, come, whoever you are, even if you've broken your vows 1,000 times. Come, come again. Join us, please. Come, come, whoever you are, even if you've broken your vows 1,000 times. Come, come again. Come, come, whoever you are, even if you've broken your vows 1,000 times. Come, come again. Come, come, whoever you are, even if you've broken your vows 1,000 times. Come, come again. Come, come, whoever you are, even if you've broken your vows 1,000 times. Come, come again.
thousand times. Come again. Come wherever you are, even if you've broken your vows 1,000 times. Come again.
Come wherever you are, even if you've broken your vows 1,000 times. Come.
זרו על הצדיק ולישראל שמחה. זרו על הצדיק ולישראל שמחה. זהו על הצדיק ולישראל שמחה. זהו על הצדיק ולישראל שמחה. לצדיק ולישראל שמחה. זרו על הצדיק ולישראל שמחה. צדיק ולישראל שמחה. על דעת המקום ועל דעת הקהל בישיבה של מעלה רשימה של מעלה. על דעת המקום ועל דעת הקהל בישיבה של מעלה ישיבה של מעלה. אנו מזהירים להתפלל עם ישיבה
דת
הקהל בשיבה של מעלה, בשיבה של מעלה,
על דת המקום, על דת הקהל,
דת הקהל
מעלה,
בשיבה של מעלה,
ושיבה
של מעלה, אנו מתירים להתפלל עם ההוויה.
Sing everyone, Anu, Anu, Yeshiva Shamala on page 5. Yeshiva Shalmata Al das hamakom Al das hakahal Anu matidin Lehispalel Im havayanim Yeshiva shel malach Yeshiva shel mata Al das hamakom Al das hakal Anu matirin Lispalel Im havayanim Al das hamakom Al das hakal Yeshiva shel malach Yeshiva shel mata Anu matirin Lispalel Im havayanim Kol Nidre V'yesarei V'achramei V'konamei V'chinoyei V'kinosei Moshevo Darna Ahai Unishtabana Uleacharim na Ahai Ve'asarna Al nafshasana Yom Kippurim Zeh Ad Yom Kippurim Habanenu Letova Kulhon Icharatna V'hon Kulhon sharan shevikin shevisi beteilin umevutalim shevikin shevisi beteilin umevutalim la sheririm vela kayamin Nidre la nidre yesarana la yesade Oyemu asana la shevu
Kol nidre vesare vecharame vekoname vechinuye vekinuse Vidya sarna al nafshatana miyom kippurim zeh ad yom kippurim
Nidre Yesare Vacharame Vekoname Vekinoye Vekinosei Musheva Darna Unishtabana Une Acharina Vinyasarana Al Nafshasana Yom Kippurim Zeh Ad Yom Kippurim Habodeinu Letova Ulechon Icharatna bechon Kulechon Yechon Sharan Shevi'ekin
Shevi'tim Betelin umevutalim
Shevi'ekin
Shevi'tim Betelin umevutalim
Lasheririn Vela Kayamin Nidrana Ahalon Nidre Yesarana La Esare Ay Ushemu Asana La Shemos At page 5, towards the bottom of the page, the words V'nisnach.
ונסלח בכל הדת בני ישראל ולגר הגר בתוכם
לך נא לבון העם הזה כגודל חסדך. וכאשר נסעת לעם הזה ממצרים ידך ושם נאמר.
ויאמר אדוני, סלחתי כדבריך. ויאמר אדוני, סלחתי כדבריך. ויאמר אדוני, סלחתי
On page 7, we honor Shabbat with part of Psalm 92, Mizmor Shir. Mizmor Shir Le'yom HaShabbat. Tov le'odot.
טוב להודות לאדוני.
מזמור שיר ליום השבת,
ולזמר לשמך
עליון,
להגיד
להגיד בבוקר חסדך, ואמונתך בלילות, על לעשות בעלי נבל, עלי היגיון וחינוך.
מזמור שיר, מזמור שיר,
ליום השבת,
טוב להודות.
טוב להודות לאדוני.
מזמור שיר,
שיר ליום השבת,
זמר,
ולזמר לשמך עליון,
להגיד
להגיד בבוקר חסדך, ואמונתך בלילות, על לעשות עלי נבל,
על As we turn back to the bottom of page 5, everyone, maybe the most important moment of every year, as I say over in the name of the great Rabbi Yosef Ber Soloveitchik, Rabbi Soloveitchik, who said this Shechianu is the most important Shechianu of the entire Jewish calendar, and we pray in thankfulness and gratitude for having arrived. Baruch, Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu
מלך העולם, שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
Baruch Atah, Baruch
אתה אדוני אלוהינו, מלך העולם, שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
Give life, everyone, sing Amen. One time. Full voice, everybody.
שלום עליכם, מלאכי השם
מלאכי עליון,
מלאכי עליון.
מי מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, ברכוני לשלום, ברכוני לשלום, מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליון, מי מלך מלכי, מי מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. No words, everyone. Lai lai, ya la lai lai lai. So beautiful. Sing. Ya la lai lai. Ya la lai lai lai. Ya la lai lai. So let me begin with a confession and an apology. It's not written anywhere, which is exactly the apology. Some of the prayers here are just in the moment. Like we didn't prepare a slide just now for those words, and so if anybody was looking for the words, we apologize. We're just feeling into this thing that we're doing here tonight. I know that often in preparation for such an important day to hold all of you, we run through things like it's a performance, but it's not. It's just us together. And so I just wanted to welcome each and every one of you and begin by saying if there are words on the screen or not on the screen, in the book or not in the book, I just want to say I'm sorry from the get-go. Let's just get that out of the way. Yom Kippur is a day for reflection. It's a day for embracing our vulnerabilities, as I said, and acknowledging our errors and shortcomings, healing our wounded hearts, and feeling for the wounds in others. It's a day to confess, to own, to let it go, to hold on, to hold tight. It's a day for laughters and tears, when those of us living contemplate our mortality and those who have passed are recalled and remembered. It's a day free from distractions, hopefully, so that we can listen to that still small voice. It's a day to speak truth and to hear it, to acknowledge our limits even as we masquerade as the angels we wish to be or long to become. On Yom Kippur, the heart longs to be naked and pure, softened by love and the safety of a warm, loving community. But for many of us, Yom Kippur hasn't always been a day of soul-searching, but painful fasting, sometimes heavy with guilt. When it came time to beat on our hearts, we did so with a particular gusto, focusing more on judgment and less on joy. We felt watched, not only by a judging God, but by a community that could feel like a high school reunion. Who we are, what we do, who we're with, all the fodder for whispered critiques. In that environment, judgment and confessions take on a different meaning, focusing not on facing ultimate truths, but on contending with human judgments, trivialities about appearance, attire, and life choices. Tonight and throughout this Yom Kippur day that we will spend together, I invite all of you to allow yourselves a different experience of Yom Kippur. A Yom Kippur that is rooted in radical acceptance, warmth, and care. We are already singing beautiful melodies, right? Yes? So allow yourself to be transported, even uplifted, whether or not you know the tunes or the words. If the words or the melodies evoke memories, let them awaken your heart and soul. And let the chest thumping be gentle, like a caress, reminding our hearts to act with awareness and responsibility. These Yamim Noraim, these awesome days, and Yom Kippur, the day of forgiveness itself, invite us to soften our hearts and embrace one another with courage and tenderness. In this spirit, I want to just say something in the name of my great teacher, Rabbi Zalman Schachter Shalomi, who said that you don't have to eat everything on your prayer plate. You don't need to say all of the words. Just pray in a way that is meaningful to you. Let singing and even silence take you somewhere that is true. Don't miss the meal that we are having together by focusing only on the recipes in the book. That would leave you hungry, and you are already going to be. So who are we here sitting here tonight? Some of us are thrilled to be here. Maybe for your very first Yom Kippur. Some of you are experiencing this space for the very first time with 92NY, with Romamu, or even with me, Rabbi David Ingber. Some of you feel nostalgia for an older place, and while others amongst you embracing the new. Some are here willingly, while others were dragged here by a partner, a parent, even a child. Some of us have found Yom Kippur inspiring and transformative in the past, and some of us, well, for some of you it's been repetitive and maybe even a little irrelevant. Some of you are coming here tonight to seek a new approach, and others want something familiar. Some of you are Jews by choice, and some of us here tonight aren't Jews at all. Some of us are journeying, exploring spiritual paths that include Judaism, and others have never set foot in a synagogue, and this is not technically a synagogue, just so you know. While some of you are here for something beyond the traditional, some of you want anything but the traditional. Some of you are keeping kosher, some are mostly kosher, some not so kosher. Some of you are vegan, some fell off the vegetarian wagon. Some of us are gay, and some of us are straight, and some of us are both. For some, Hebrew is familiar to you, and for others, it's entirely foreign. Some of you have Buddhist practices and Hindu practices, and some of you are rabbinical students. Some love, I don't know, the old machzor, the ways that the prayers resonate and are regnant with the past. And some of you want everything tonight to be in English. Some of you can't wait to wake up tomorrow morning for, I guess, yoga and meditation, wherever you do that. And others don't even know what downward dog is, though I find that hard to believe. Some of us are grandparents. Some of us are mourners. Some of us are expectant parents. And some of us, seekers of peace and God and of transformation. We could go on and on with how remarkable this room is. But whomever you are, whomever we are tonight and throughout the day of Yom Kippur, wherever we come from, we are together as one community this evening and tomorrow. Each of us brings our journey, but here we sit, beginning together. What will we make of our diversity, our contradictions, our richness? What will our prayers sound like? And what will we each hear? We'll find out as I invite you to rise and turn together in the direction of the holy for the Baruch Hu on page 9. Lai, 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 lai. Dini lai, 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 lai. Dini lai, dini lai, dini lai, 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 Adonai HaMevorach
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Yai nai 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 Yai nai 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 Yai nai 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 Yai nai 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 Yai nai 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 לעולם ועד.
You may be seated, everyone. Jason 9, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Ma'avir yom, me'evir layla, ומבדיק בין יום ובין לילה, אדוני צבאות שמו, אל חי וקיים, תמיד תמלוך עלינו לעולם ועד, ברוך אתה אדוני, ברכו וברוך שמו, יני אלי, 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 Amariv Adachavim Amen. Page 10, Avat Olam Beit Yisrael B'mchav Tadurif.
כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו ובהם נגה יומם ולילה ואהבתך אל תסתיר ממנו לעולמים ברוך אתה אדוני
ברכו וברוך שמו
יאי 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 אוהב עמו ישראל
We prepare for the Shema, page 11.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Baruch Shem Kevod Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך
ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת
בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך
ובשוכבך
ובקומך
וקשרתם מאוד על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם
על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך.
We continue on page 12. ושמתם את דברי אל לבבכם על נפשכם וקשרתם אותם לעושי ידכם. On the top of page 13, למען ירבו ימיכם בימי בניכם, על האדמה שיש באדוני לאבותיכם, לתת להם כימי השמיים על הארץ. ויאמר אדוני אל משה לאמור, דבר אל בני ישראל ואמרת עליהם יעשו להם ציצית. כאן בידיהם לדורותם בנו הציצית. כאן הבלתי לכם דבר בציצית. וראיתם אותו וזכרתם לכל מצוות אדוני ועשיתם אותו. שהוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם אל אלוהים. אדוני אלוהיכם אמס. On the bottom of page 14. Moshe and his sister Miriam and all of the children of Israel sang a song of freedom and liberation. On this holiest night in the Jewish calendar, we pray for freedom and for liberation in songs that celebrate those milestones for our people and for all people everywhere. Mi chamocha, on page 14.
מי חמוך באלים אדוני
באלים אדוני
מי כמוך נדר בקודש
נדר בקודש
Sing everyone. ונאמר, כי פדה אדון את יעקב, וגלו מיד חזק ממנו. Baruch atah Adonai,
Baruch hu, Baruch Shemo.
Kol Yisrael.
Amen.
On page 15, Hashkivenu. It's down in peace tonight. Peace, safety, security. For all of our brothers and sisters, for God's children tonight, let there be a sukkah of peace.
Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, Hamidenu malkeinu lechaim, Ashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, Hamidenu malkeinu lechaim, ufros aleinu sukkah shlomecha, ashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, hamidenu malkeinu lechaim. תקננו בעצה טובה מלפניך, הושיענו למען שמך, להגן בעדינו, הסר מעלינו ידך, להסר מעצותינו, שמור צאתנו היינו לחיים ולשלום, מעתה ועד עולם, השכיבנו אדוני, אלוהינו לשלום, להעמידנו מלכנו לחיים, ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך, ברוך אתה אדוני, הפורס סוכת שלום עלינו ועל כל עמות ישראל. ועל ירושלים. Amen.
Please rise for Vishamru and Kiba Yom Hazeh on page 17.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם בריבון עולם, בני ובני ישראל מופיעים לעולם, כשחזקנו עשה אדוני את השמיים
Niskadash Shemei Rabba Mianama Divrachirusei Ve'amenich Malchusei V'chayechon Uyomechon U'mechayenet Kol Beit Yisrael V'angalo Mizman Koni V'imeru Omei Yehi Shmei Rabba Mevorach Ay, 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 ay. Dinina, ay, 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 dinina, Yitmar vidromam vidnosei, vidnada vidala vidalash medek teshaberi. Leila, leila, min gomerosa veshinasa, tosh bechasa, venet vasa, dinina, yada da da, dinina. Damiran mi'alema v'yimero amen. The silent Amidah, silent prayers for Yom Kippur can be found on page 31. We also have prompts for meditation that will be appearing as well on the screen, if that's a easier way for you to access what you need to pray for this evening. standing as the ark is opened. On page 53, Ya'aleh.
תחנוננו מערב ויבוא שוועתנו מבוקר ויראה רינוננו עד ערב
some of the most beautiful imagery of the transient nature, the ephemeral nature of life can be found on page 55. Beautiful, this beautiful prayer poem written, taking verses from the Tanakh, from the Bible, to imagine us as clay in the hand of the potter. Ki hinei kachomer b'yad ha'yotzer.
Ki hinei kachomer b'yad ha'yotzer, birtzoto marchiv uvirtzoto mekatzer. כן אנחנו בידך נעשינו עוצר לברית הבט ואל תפן ליצר.
הנה כאבן ביד המסתר, ברצותו חס וברצותו מחטט. כן אנחנו בידך נמוטט לברית הבט ואל תפן ליצר. כי הנה כגרזן ביד החרש, ברצותו דיבק לאור וברצותו בירש. כן אנחנו בידך תומך אני ולש לברית הבט ואל תפן ליצר.
כי הנך הגה ביד המלאך, ברצותו אוחז וברצותו שילח. כן אנחנו בידך יואל טוב וסלח לברית הבט ואל תפן ליצר. כי הנה זכוכית ביד המסגר, ברצותו חוגג וברצותו ממוגג. כן אנחנו בידך מעביר סתום ושגג לברית הבט
אל תפן
ליצר.
כי הנה היריעה ביד הרוקם, ברצותו מיישב וברצותו מעכב. כן אנחנו בידך אלחנו ונוקל לברית הבט ואל תפן ליצר. כי הנך כסף ביד הצורף, ברצותו משגשג וברצותו מצרף. כן אנחנו בידך תציל למזון טרף לברית הבט ואל תפן ליצר. On page 56, the 13 attributes of love, of forgiveness. These 13 names of God or attributes were given to Moses in the biblical story after the sin of the golden calf, in Moshe's pleading with God for forgiveness for the Jewish people. He was given these 13 qualities. And even though it's Shabbat and it's customary not to do it, I feel that this year is a year where we need as much as we can get. Adonai, Adonai, El Rachum
Echanu, El Apayim, Ben Chesed Ve'emet,
Notzeh Chesed Na'alavim, Notzeh Avon V'Afesha,
V'chata
Adonai, Adonai, El
Rachum Echanu, El Apayim,
Ben Chesed
Ve'emet, Notzeh Chesed Na'alavim,
Notzeh Avon V'Afesha, V'chata Enageh. Adonai,
Adonai, El Rachum Echanu, El Apayim, Ben Chesed Ve'emet, Notzeh Chesed
Alavim,
Notzeh Avon V'Afesha, V'chata
Enageh.
Compassion and tenderness, patience, forbearance, kindness, awareness, bearing love from age to age, lifting guilt and mistakes, and making us
Page 57. Shema koleinu Adonai Eloheinu, chos rachem aleinu, v'kabel b'rachamim ratzon, es tefilosenu.
Shema koleinu Adonai Eloheinu, chus ve'achem aleinu, ve'kabel berachamim u'beratzon, et tefilotenu.
Hashivenu Adonai lecha v'nashuva, chadesh yameinu kekedem.
Hashivenu Adonai Elohei lecha v'nashuva, chadesh yameinu kekedem.
In the middle of the page, please do not discard us as we get older. Please, may we find a way to build an intergenerational community in all of our communities, in all of our ages. We might learn from one another, empowering one another. Al tashlichenu.
Al tashlichenu milfanecha, beruach kodeshecha, al tikachni
Let's repeat that.
אל תשליכנו מלפניך, אל תיקח ממנו.
אל תשליכנו לעת זקנה, ככלותנו אל תעזבנו.
אל תשליכנו מעת זקנה, ככלותנו אל תעזבנו.
As we turn to page 60, Eloheinu le'avoteinu v'imoteinu. Eloheinu le'avoteinu v'imoteinu. Slach lanu, mechal lanu, kaper lanu. Ki anu amecha ve'ata Eloheinu. Anu vanecha ve'ata. Ay, 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 anu avadecha ve'ata Adonenu. Anu ke'alecha ve'ata chelkeinu. Anu nachaladecha ve'ata goralenu. Anu tzonecha ve'ata go'enu. Anu chanecha ve'ata notenu. Anu geulatecha ve'ata yotzeinu. Anu
ראיתך
ve'ata dodenu.
אנו סגולתך
ve'ata
קרובנו.
anu amecha ve'ata Eloheinu. Anu
מאמירך
ve'ata ma'irenu. אנו הזייפנים יתרוך מחנון, אנו כשיורף יתאר חפיים, אנו מלאי עוון, אתה מלא רחמים, אנו כתניר כצל עובר, ואתה הוש נוסך לא יתאמו. For the vidui, we turn to page 62. Ay, lai, 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 ya, la, lai, 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 ya, la, lai, lai. Oh, sham, agad, anu, banu, evienu, ve'yishanu,
זדנו, חמסנו,
חפרנו שקר. ay, la, 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 ya, la, 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 ya, la, la, la. יועצנו רע,
ניזמנו, מרדנו, ניאצנו, שררנו, אבינו, פשענו, שררנו, קישינו עולה.
ראשנו שכחת אבנו טעינו איתנו Return to page 64, 65. על חטא שחטאנו לפניך, רצון, you can
על חטא
find
שחטאנו
in
לפניך
English
באימוץ לב.
on the
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בבלי דעת. על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בבלי שפתיים. על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בגילוי עריות. על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בגילוי משנאת. על חטא שחטאנו לפניך. חטא שחטאנו לפניך בדיבור. חטא שחטאנו לפניך במעט. והוא הלב.
all these sins. ויעל לכל אלוהה סליחו סלח
לנו,
נתן
לנו,
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בבעידה.
על חטא שחטאנו בזלזול, בזדון,
חטא שחטאנו בתרומת שפתיים.
בחילול השם, פשוט ונצר, ביודעין ולא יודעים, שחטאנו לפניך בחש ובחזון, בחפת שוחד.
Page 66. ויעל כל אלוהה סליחו
סלח לנו, מחלנו, שחטאנו לפניך, בלשון שר ומטר,
tell of others,
בנשר,
advantage of others, all these,
יד גאון,
idle conversation.
שיח שפתותינו, שיכור, סיקור עין, בעיניים רמות אחרי שחטאנו בעזות מצח.
ויעל כל
עולם,
אלוהה
סליחו, סלח לנו, לנו, שחטאנו לפניך בפריקת אור,
self-centered,
בפלילות,
by judging others, by covetousness,
בצרות עין,
by irreverence, by
קשיות אור,
stubbornness,
רגליים לעבר,
gossiping,
ברכילות,
making promises,
בשנאת חינם, בתשומת יד, בתימון לבד.
ויעל כל אלוהה
סלח לנו, מחלנו,
ויעל כל אלוהה סליחו סלח לנו מיכל לנו סלח לנו מיכל
לנו,
It isn't customary to say the Avinu Malkeinu, the prayer of Avinu Malkeinu on page 73, but again, as I said, this is unique year. And so a little bit of Avinu Malkeinu, a little bit of Imenu, loving source, loving parents, divine parents. Ein banu masim, ein banu masim. And page 74. Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Choneinu Baneinu, Ein banu masim, Aseh imanu, Tzedaka I'd like to invite to the Bima the chair of 92NY's board, Jody Arnhold, and the chair of the Romamu board, Stacy Levine.
Good evening. Thank you all for being here. I'm Jody Gottfried Arnhold, and I have the great honor and privilege of chairing the board of directors of the 92nd Street Y. I live on the Upper West Side. I hope everyone is finding as much meaning as I am in tonight's service. Building community is at the heart of what we do at 92NY. It's especially significant to be building community with Romamu. Thank you.
Thank you, Jody. I'm Stacy Levine, and I'm the co-chair of Romamu Board. And on behalf of the entire Romamu Board and my co-chair, Jonathan Fastberg, we're all very happy to be here. I want to thank both the 92NY team and the Romamu team What you've done is pretty incredible, bringing our two families together. I know a little bit about production, and this is massive. And so we're all so grateful that you've brought our families together, and we're all enjoying each other's company, so that's great. I'd like to introduce the Romemu Executive Director, Jeff Kahn.
I also live on the Upper West Side. I love how the title on the slide doesn't even mention Romemu. That's great. For me. My grandparents lived just a few blocks from here for over 50 years. They settled here from Poland after World War II with their 9-year-old daughter, my mother. They embodied the type of Jews that Rabbi Ingber called in his Rosh Hashanah sermon, the start-over nation. Like other survivors, our family was reborn out of Europe's ashes, driven by the spirit of what the rabbi called Od Lo, optimal hope that they could rebuild their lives here in this country. And that they did. My grandfather not only embodied the spirit of Od Lo, hope, but also of Lo Od, no more, enough. Yet, in the positive sense, enough as in acceptance, or for the Buddhists, non-attachment. Having lost so much in his life, he was truly grateful for whatever he had. Be thankful for what you have, he would repeat in response to many of life's tribulations. As his own sight became too weak to read the New York Times on Sunday, I remember him saying, "It's okay, I'll listen to the radio." And when his steps became too unsure for his daily spaziers on the East River Boardwalk, "Don't worry," he said, "I'll swim." So at age 85, he joined the Y, or as he called it, the Vi. I have fond memories of accompanying him when I was in town. Now, he may have called it exercise, but he swam so slowly that I was terrified he would sink and drown, so I treaded water behind him. 2 decades later, long after my swims at the Y had ended, I returned to this very room for a concert with a rabbi named Shefa Gold. She'd introduced me to the miracle of Reb Zalman Schechter Shalomi, the founder of the Jewish Renewal Movement, while I was living on the West Coast. "There's someone you should meet," she said after the show. "He's also a disciple of Reb Zalman, and he's thinking of doing something a bit strange. In the Upper West Side of New York, he's thinking of starting a new shul. I think you two will get along." Well, she was right. 18 years later, 12 as a founding board member of Romemu, and 6 in my current role, I returned to the place where I first met Rabbi David Ingber. And for me, Romemu began. It's an honor to be here. We'd originally envisioned that both Seth Pinsky, the CEO of the Y, and I would speak here together. But since he's attending services at his own family's congregation, he gave a beautiful welcome on Rosh Hashanah for those of you that were lucky enough to be here. I want to tell you a little bit about this strange but very special institution, he started saying. I confess I was surprised he would start talking about Romemu. But alas, he was indeed referring to the Y. He described the incredible story, summarizing the Y as a hybrid with multiple identities, a world-class cultural institution appended to a local community center, an embassy, he said, from the Jewish community to the world. Strange, yes, and complex and beautiful. Of course, in the word strange but very special, he could very well have been talking about Romemu as well. As you can see now, or as you already know, having been here before, Romamu is an enigmatic blend of traditional and modern practice. It's authentically Jewish, yet remarkably universal. People say Romamu feels like home, whether they're former ultra-Orthodox, or conservative, or Reform, or newly minted Jews by choice, or even the Jew curious. To those who fervently believe and to those with, shall we say, complex relationships with the very idea of God, they all report that Romamu feels like home. And like Seth said of the why, Romamu too is a hybrid with multiple identities. On any given Shabbat, you'll meet those with different ethnicities, gender identities, political persuasions, and social spheres, studying, praying, singing, sitting in silence, and yes, sometimes dancing down the aisles together. That dancing seems to be an oversized part of our brand. As a wise member once said to me, though, the permission to be authentic in one's own self-expression is part of Romamu's secret sauce. Well, you can all decide for yourselves, but it seems to be true that every week we draw not only regulars to our Shabbat services, but visitors from all over the globe, who sometimes tell me that Romamu is a Jewish pilgrimage site when they're visiting New York. But Romamu is a lot more than just inspiring musical davening. Our clergy are accomplished teachers of Torah, Kabbalah, Chassidut, modern Jewish thought, and more. One board member remarked recently, Romamu feels like a cross between a traditional New York synagogue, a Hasidic shtibel, a yeshiva, and Broadway. Yes, Seth, strange, and complex, and beautiful. So regardless of why or through which organization you came here tonight, it feels important that we simply are here. As many have remarked since October 7th, just being together in community feels more important now than ever. In Monday night's commemoration for October 7th in Central Park, as the parents of one of the remaining hostages was speaking on the podium, and under the gaze of two sniper teams on the roof of Summer Stage, a friend turned to me with tears streaming down her face and said, "This is so painful, but it's important that we just showed up." Showing up matters. Something important is being created right here, right now, but it's not just what's happening on the bima, on the stage. It's this sweet melange from the beautiful sacred space, caring, amazing staff, soaring music, inspired wisdom in all of our voices, your voices and prayers that provide fuel to this glorious bonfire of the holidays. And also, your gifts. While the why I know is not traditionally asked from the Bima on Yom Kippur, what we jointly created here this year would not be possible without the simple truth. For both organizations, what we receive each year in the generous membership and ticketing and other services we provide simply does not come close to covering what it costs to serve our congregants and patrons. If you value what you're doing here only with your additional gifts, can it possibly continue? This incredible davening team is only here now, some of who've been flown across the globe because of the generosity of last year's Kol Nidre. This year, all gifts will be shared between both organizations, so we can continue the type of collaboration we're doing here tonight. Finally, a word about these clergy. In the post-October 7th world especially, our clergy preach, teach, and lead not just at our institutions, but all over the city and beyond. They're respected and sought after because of who they are and their courage, especially at this time, to speak the truth. There have been consequences. Swastikas painted on Romamu's doors, protests in front of the Y, programs interrupted by hecklers, staff walkouts, negative press. While many congregants and patrons find comfort in what they hear here, some of our most beloved, most generous, and longtime friends are conspicuous here tonight for their absence. I've been asked to encourage our clergy to tone it down. Don't enter the controversy for the sake of congregational harmony. No way. The beauty of Romamu, and the strength of the Y is the willingness of both organizations to lead from the bima, or from the stage, to speak truth, irrespective of the consequences. For your courage, wisdom, dear clergy, thank you. All donations we receive tonight will be shared. So if you have a card now, if you were lucky to have enough to have been given a card when you walked in, take it out now. Cue slide. Find a level of gift that feels right to you, and then put the sticker, since we don't write on Yontif, put the sticker on the next level up. That's how important this year's appeal is. Toda rabah. Thank you. Gomar Chatima Tova.
Change help us change from the heart, from the heart. Help us change,
Change.
help us change from the heart, from the heart. על הדבש ועל העוקץ, על המר והמתוק, על ביתנו התינוקת, שמור לי הטוב, על האש המבוערת, על המים הזכים, על האיש השב הביתה מן המרחקים. על כל אלה, על כל אלה, שמור נא לי, אלי, הטוב, הטוב. Heal,
Help us heal.
help us heal from the heart, from the heart. Help us home from the heart, from the heart. על הדבש ועל העוקץ, על המר והמתוק, על ביתנו התינוקת, שמור לי הטוב, על האש המבוערת, על המים הזכים, על האיש השב הביתה מן המרחקים. על כל אלה, על כל אלה, שמור נא לי, אלי, הטוב, הטוב.
Help us pray.
Help us pray
From the heart.
from the heart, from the heart.
Live. Help us live. Live.
Help us live
From this heart.
from the heart,
Oh,
from the heart. על הדבש ועל העוקץ, על המר והמתוק, על ביתנו התינוקת, שמור לי הטוב, על האש המבוערת, על המים הזכים.
על שעוד לא שב הביתה מן המרחקים. Our theme, על הדבש ועל העוקץ, the only Shemer's classic Israeli folk song. And in one of the stanzas she writes, Hashivenu ve'ashuva el haaretz hatova. Return us and we will return to the good land. I want to talk tonight about Purim. I know it's an unusual choice for Yom Kippur. But it wouldn't be the first time Purim has come to my mind this year. I've been speaking about Purim all year, and for good reason. Of all the books in the Bible, it's perhaps the most relevant to this moment in our lives in Jewish history, for the simple reason that it tells a story of Jewish survival in the face of destruction, of a Jewish community in ancient Persia, Iran, facing an existential threat that they didn't see coming. But there's a deeper reason connecting Purim, I think, to Yom Kippur. Is there? A 1,000-year-old rabbinic tradition draws a line between Purim and Yom Kippur. Yom Kippurim, the Day of Atonement, is read playfully as Yom Kippurim, a day like Purim. I know, all the light bulbs go off in here. It's like, well, oh, wow. Never thought of that. It's an odd phrase, and it first appears in the Tikkun Zohar in the 13th century. And it suggests maybe there's something more to this analogy. Maybe the allusion to Purim is a key to what Yom Kippur is all about on the deepest level. So let's take a look at the Purim story. As many of you know, Purim is set in ancient Persia during the reign of a king named Achashverosh. And it, of course, tells a story of an evil genius named Haman who didn't expect that. Who with his evil machinations imagines destroying the people of Israel, the Jewish people. And of course, the story is all about a heroine named Esther, who's at the center of it. Esther, the orphaned girl who rises to become the queen of Persia. Esther is so well adapted that no one in the palace even suspects that she's Jewish. Her very name, Esther, means hidden. And that's precisely what she is. She's hidden. She is asked to hide her Jewish identity by her uncle Mordechai. Her given Jewish name is Hadassah. And she blends seamlessly into Persian life, achieving a high status there. Esther's concealing of her Jewishness is necessary for the narrator to underscore both the precondition for Jewish power, symbolizing survival through strategic assimilation, and the high stakes the story will set up for her choice to reveal herself, marking a pivotal moment of moral courage and identity affirmation. Esther's story is a story of hiding and coming out, loud and proud. Esther's moment, the one that defines her and saves her people, begins with a call to leave her hiddenness behind. After, as I said, Uncle Mordechai discovers the plot by this evil Haman to kill the Jews, he begs Esther to go before the king and plead for her people. This is her moment to embrace who she is, not just in private, but also in public, and to step into her Jewish identity with all of its attendant risks. And at first, she hesitates. After all, she's safe where she is, isn't she? We can't overlook what Esther is being asked to do. She's being asked to give up her comfort, to risk her life, to stand exposed, and she has everything to lose. Mordechai, who sees her hesitation, her fear, and her instinct to hide, pushes her with these words that make me cry each and every time I read them. Mi yodea. Who knows? He says to her, Im leit kazot higat lamalchut, that it was just for this moment that you have come to power. You were made for this moment, Esther. At that moment, he tells her and tells all of us that hiding cannot be our default. We can't live with the mask forever. So what happens next, everybody, is critical. Esther makes a decision. She steps into her identity. She reveals herself and stands up for her people, knowing the dangers. She realizes ultimately that survival can't always mean blending in or hiding. Sometimes it means standing out and taking a risk. She faces her fears and her desire to assimilate and rises beyond them. Here we are today, everyone, in the United States, living in a society where we as Jews have also become deeply assimilated. And it has felt safe, hasn't it, for so long. We have thought and still think that we've made it. But perhaps we've been blind to the dangers that have been growing all around us, not seeing the writing on the wall. Just to be clear, not all assimilation is hiding. Not all hiding is assimilation. Not all universalism is a mask for deep-seated antipathy to our particular Jewish identity. Sometimes we engage with the broader world from a place of confidence. We contribute Jewish values to universal causes, not as a cover, but as an expression of our own ethical core. There are moments when our universalism springs not from a need to blend in, but from an abundance of Jewish pride, a desire to bring the wisdom of our tradition into dialogue with the world. And yet, the challenge is to discern when universalism expands who we are versus when it reveals a reluctance to own the fullness of our Jewishness. When does reaching outward represent strength, and when does it stem from an impulse to dilute our identities for acceptance? When is reaching out expressing Jewishness, and when is it suppressing it? The question then becomes, are we genuinely broadening our horizons, or are we shying away from the unique gifts and responsibilities that being Jewish demands of us? This delicate balance calls us to engage with integrity, embracing the world without losing ourselves, embodying our distinct heritage even as we contribute to the larger human story. I've come over the last year to think about it in a particular way. Most of you here have heard of the famous fight-flight response to trauma, yes? Fight-flight? Yes, everybody? It's a big room. I just need to know. In the last few years, experts have discovered in the field of PTSD, of post-traumatic stress disorder, at least two other responses. Freezing is a survival strategy that has us play dead. And fawning is another strategy where appeasement and accommodation conveys that we're not a threat to those we perceive to be potentially dangerous. Fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. They're all automatic responses developed as survival strategies to protect us from immediate threats. In dangerous situations, fight enables us to confront a threat head-on. Flight urges us to escape, and freeze helps us stay undetected, while fawning allows us to appease others to avoid conflict. We have a dog that we just got 2 years ago, golden retriever, named Nala. The most extroverted dog you've ever met in your life. We can't make it out of the house before she sees somebody. And from a block away, other dogs, when she notices another dog coming to her from a block away, she's already on her back, showing them her belly. I'm not a threat. Don't have to worry about me. I just want you to scratch my belly or do some other dog-like activity. These responses can still be helpful in genuinely dangerous moments. They become problematic and tricky when they're misused or relied upon in situations that don't threaten our survival. For example, fawning, excessive appeasement, may once have helped us avoid confrontation, but when it becomes a chronic response, it can lead to self-abandonment and the loss of who we are. Recognizing when these responses are useful and when they inhibit our well-being is essential to finding balance and responding authentically. We Jews have strategically assimilated for centuries. It's part of our DNA. It is what enables us to draw from the cultures that we are in, to take what's best and to make it our own. But maybe sometimes I think that we fawn too much. Esther's story reminds us that there are times when hiding becomes dangerous. And even here in America, it's time to open our eyes and stand as we are without shrinking or hiding. In many ways, Jews have too often been complicit in our own erasure, especially in the liberal spaces where many of us live, work, and advocate. We Jews have worn masks for millennia, living under Christian or Muslim rule in Eastern Europe or the Middle East. Our people have adapted, surviving through this skillful self-effacement. This learned behavior helped us avoid drawing too much attention to ourselves, allowed us to assimilate enough to be tolerated and maintained our identity. In many ways, survival meant walking that fine line, fawning just sufficiently to avoid persecution while hiding, but still trying to preserve what made us distinct. As we walk around in liberal circles today, self-criticism is the hallmark of human progress and, for that matter, a core of spiritual practice. And in those circles, it is maybe one of the highest values. We witness and maybe even participate in a ritual where we might have to be seen as virtuous by virtue of our willingness to be self-critical. The good liberal emerges in us when we renounce any sign of being overly tribal. There was a story about Rabbi Shlomo Carlebach, the great troubadour, the singer who used to go out to Jewish youth on college campuses. He used to relate that when someone would come up to him and say he was a Roman Catholic, he would believe him. When someone would say that he was a Protestant, he would believe them. When someone would say he was a Muslim, he would believe them. But when someone would say to him, "I'm a human being," then Rabbi Carlebach knew that he was a Jew. This is typical of the contemporary Jewish reality, assessing our universalistic instinct while eschewing our Jewish identity and our people's dreams. Some of you here tonight may do this yourselves. I know that I have done this. I can be honest. Jews that bend over backward, engaging in this kind of over-the-top self-critique, expressing what we hope comes across as an evolved, non-tribal Jew. This critique signals that we've transcended our insular interests, embraced the broad strokes of universalism, which is, of course, a value that we all cherish. But is this behavior solely motivated by an honest inquiry, or is it, once again, a masking, a fawning that grants us access and safety within a group? Such actions seem to say, we're the kind of Jews who don't just think about ourselves. We're not too parochial. We're open-minded, unafraid to challenge our practices, our perspectives, our beliefs. But ask yourself, and here I want to ask myself with you, how many of you have ever been in an airport where you see an Orthodox or an ultra-Orthodox or some version of the externalities of Judaism on display as they shuckle and pray in the corner of the airport? Okay, I see a lot of heads nodding. Maybe it's you, maybe it's, you might have seen it. And if I were to have a thought bubble above your head at some point, I wonder what you would be thinking. I'm sure all of you have the holiest of thoughts. I'm sure all of you are thinking, wow, what a beautiful, reverent, devoted person. So lovely. Maybe even a distant cousin. Maybe I'll sidle up to them and say, hey, how you doing? Menachem, yeah, David, nice to meet you. I wonder how many of us sit there and cringe and think, does he have to be so Jewish in public? Really? Is that the best foot forward for us? I'm sure no one ever thought that. That's just me. We avoid centering our Jewishness, fearing that doing so might appear defensive, nationalistic, jingoistic, superstitious, or worst of all, the Ur sin, tribal. I had a colleague rabbinical colleague whose publisher told her when she wrote a book about anti-Semitism that it centered on Jewish pain too much. I'm not kidding. A professor told my niece at Columbia University the same thing when she dared to bring a Holocaust story to her class. It was a class about the Holocaust. But she, as a Jew, wasn't allowed to bring it. It centered her Jewishness. Today, however, liberal Jews may feel trapped in this very habit, caught between not being Jewish enough and too Jewish. In a world wrestling with race, Ashkenazi Jews are often seen as too white, which may imply privilege, and yet not white enough, signaling otherness. Not to mention, of course, Jews on the margins who don't fit into any of those categories. We are ever attuned to the Gentile gaze. We are. We are constantly attenuating our Jewishness like Goldilocks, trying to fight the right balance to be just the right Jew. This instinct to fall and to navigate through gentleness, to avoid confrontation or otherness remains. But ironically, at a time when embracing one's entire identity should be our strength, we become adept at signaling that we as Jews transcend tribal concerns. We value universalism above all particularity. And in that moment, we're hiding like Esther behind our masks. Today, Jews are still targeted for being Jews. In spite of all the fawning, it doesn't seem to work. And now, not just being a Jew, but having the audacity to make a claim on the word Zionist. Zionism or Zionist, a label with which most Jews identify with, has become a criminal label. And in response to this threat, we are witnessing fawning. How else do you explain otherwise well-intentioned, beautiful, amazing leaders who understand Torah and Judaism, bending over backwards to show the world that, yes, of course, it's all our fault. It's all us. We are indeed guilty as charged. In New York this year, heightened tensions saw a wave of incidents that targeted Jewish identity, and none worse than a group within our lifetime, which only yesterday in the New York Times publicly praises Hamas's approach to armed resistance, quote unquote, read it as murdering innocent civilians. And a group of them set out in Manhattan this year to openly chant support for terrorizing Zionists, including, I'm sure, what many of you saw, a disturbing subway scene where they came onto the subway and shouted for anyone that identified as a Zionist to get out. This kind of anti-Zionist antagonism blurred quickly into overt anti-Semitism as ironically masked protesters, but now we understand, of course, masked, on the subway demanded Jewish writers to disembark under threat. According to their leader, whose name I will not mention from this podium, there's no place for Zionists in New York. Jews in America, wake up. Jews in America, wake up. We have to realize that we too have no place to hide, no boardroom, no cultural institution, no matter how venerated and full of history. There's no safe place, as it were, that we should even seek. Against this attempts to silence parts of our identity, there are people who are choosing to be visible with their courage, to step forward as Esther did, knowing that there are times when the cost of hiding is far greater than the cost of being seen. Today we're called to stand fully like them in our Jewishness, proudly and openly connected to our people, history, and values. Today, friends, the masks are off. Friends and allies of the Jewish community are called to stand proudly in support of it. True safety will never come from disappearing or downplaying our identity and our affiliations. It can only come from the strength that we build together, the resilience we embody, and the unity we create by refusing to shrink from who we are. For Jews who had distanced themselves from Jewishness, the events of 10/7 shattered the illusion of safety that blending in or self-effacing might have offered. In the wake of such trauma, some found their way back to their Jewish identity, not out of a choice, but out of necessity. October 8th, Jews. They realized that despite their past masking or self-critique, they were bound by the same threats, the same shared history, and ultimately the same deep-seated pride. These individuals exemplify what it means to be Esther, to unmask on Yom Kippur, not as an act of fawning or concession, but as a reclamation of their fullest self, a defiant choice to stand fully within a Jewish story, even when the choice feels vulnerable or exposed. Such stories, I've heard so many stories in the past year, incredible stories. Each one of them moves me. And one in particular that I want to share with you tonight is deeply personal to me. The story of someone who reclaimed their fullest Jewish self. Anna Levy-Lyons is a member of the Romamu community, and she's here tonight. She's an insightful and compassionate Jewish spiritual leader who happens to also have been a Unitarian Universalist minister. Her journey as someone who grew up unaware of her Jewish heritage and later discovered her roots has profoundly shaped her understanding of identity, belonging, and the weight of historical trauma. In a recent letter, she wrote to her community in Brooklyn, expressing her personal reflections on the challenges she faced as a Jew in today's world, particularly in moments of crisis and tension. Her words capture the struggle many of us feel. I want to share them with you now as they bring light to our collective experience. Anna wrote, "Since October 7th, some of you have been urging me to make a public statement about my position on the war in Israel and Gaza. This letter is not that statement. It is a personal letter explaining why I cannot make that statement. I likely became a Unitarian Universalist minister instead of a rabbi because of anti-Semitism. Specifically, it was the anti-Semitism of my parents faced growing up in the 1950s New Jersey that drove them to hide their Jewishness and to raise me not even knowing that I was Jewish. My parents were only in New Jersey instead of Poland or Russia because their grandparents had fled to the US to escape the pogroms, the massacres of Jews in Eastern Europe. My great-grandparents were only in Eastern Europe instead of Israel, Palestine, because of the Roman massacre of Jews in Jerusalem in the year 70 of the Common Era, followed by their exile all over the world. And of course, it is quite possible that I only exist because my great-grandparents' migration to the US happened before the Holocaust." Anna writes that when she found out she was Jewish in her 20s, when I found out I was Jewish in my 20s, it felt like an unalloyed gift. I was heir to this gorgeous tradition of spiritual practices, rituals, music, and text, dazzling in their breadth and depth. I believed that anti-Semitism was mostly a thing of the past, oddly unaware of how it had quite literally shaped my entire life. But on October 7th, my people were slaughtered again. Some of them, peace activists and environmentalists, parents and children, Jews, very much like me and my family, except that the vagaries of history and fate had landed them there instead of here. I am 2 degrees of separation from people who were murdered or taken hostage on that day. Over the months since, I've discovered that I am Jewish for the second time. I've realized that I am heir, not only to the beauty of the lineage, but also to the trauma. My personal and ancestral history has created a deep well of trauma in me that I truly did not know I had. I know in my gut from reading history that every time Jews are accused of atrocities, whether or not it's true, see blood libel, The result is the massacre of Jews. And with the rise of anti-Semitic hate speech, vandalism, and even violence against Jews in this country, that makes my fear anything but theoretical. Anna Levy Lines. We are in a moment of collective trauma. Though many feel the appropriate response is to hide and fawn, not speak up or out, this is an Esther moment. And Jews don't own Estherhood. In fact, we've been at the forefront of almost every call to be an Esther that exists. To hear the silenced, to honor the particular, to stand up for freedom and safety. You don't have to go further than this lobby to see that. And there are so many incredible Esthers in the world. Esther was alive when Audre Lorde wrote, "Your silence will not protect you," pointing out the cost of silence. Esther was alive in Harvey Milk when he became one of the first openly gay elected officials in the United States, refusing to hide his identity. Esther was alive in Rosa Parks, who with a single act of defiance chose to sit rather than hide, and sparked a movement that would forever change the landscape of civil rights in America. So what does this have to do with Yom Kippur, you're all asking? It didn't start in the Purim story. Where it all began is the first story of hiding in our tradition. When Adam and Eve ate from the tree of knowledge and felt shame, they hid. And when they hid, God called to them, "Ayeka, where are you?" As if God didn't know. There's a story told about Shneur Zalman of Liadi, the founder of the Lubavitch movement. One year, the Russian authorities imprisoned him and falsely accused him of treason for his efforts to support Jews in Israel. And during his imprisonment, the Russian guard, curious about the wisdom that was attributed to this great sage, began to ask him all kinds of philosophical and theological questions. Amazing. One of the questions he asked was about God's call to Adam in the Garden of Eden, "Ayeka, where are you?" If God is all-knowing, why would he ask Adam where he is? Wouldn't he already know? And Reb Shneur Zalman looked at him and explained, "Where are you in this world is God's question. It isn't about geography. It is about you and your relationship with yourself and the divine purpose that you were born for." God asks Ayeka to each and every person, "Where are you hiding?" and invites us to come out from where we are concealed. Ayeka, where are we tonight, tomorrow? This timeless question of hiding coaxes us, listeners, to come out from wherever we are. Isn't the God of Israel saying to each and every one of us at this moment, how are you hiding? It takes a lot of courage to admit it, to step into the light and stand before God and others without our masks. It takes enormous ego strength to stand in the glaring light of truth, warts and all. It's so much easier to hide, to accommodate, to do whatever it is that we need to do to survive. And maybe that's what Yom Kippur is all about. Maybe that's why we're told today is like a day like Purim. It's a day not only to stand before God, but also to stand before ourselves, to ask ourselves honestly, what have I hidden this year? What parts of myself did I hide behind for the sake of acceptance, for the illusion of safety? And what will it take for you to step forward again, for me to step forward, unmasked? Yom Kippur brings us face to face with the parts of ourselves we might wish to forget, those masks that we wear, those secrets that we keep, and the subtle betrayals of self that we accumulate over a year. In that sense, Yom Kippur is a mirror, reflecting how we've strayed from who we are, and that just as Esther stands before the king exposed and vulnerable, we stand here tonight and tomorrow and all day, stripped of pretense, challenged to be honest about what we've hidden, compromised or ignored. Ayeka, where are we? I was thinking this afternoon about the prayer that we just prayed, called Nidre. Its origin, at least according to many scholars, was a prayer that was instituted to absolve Jews who had hidden their outward Jewishness as either conversos or Marranos, and who wanted to be re-included in the Jewish community. We begin Yom Kippur by saying to those who hid, we get it. It's not always safe to come out. We can hold that. We can hold that Yom Kippur is about annulling promises that we made to ourselves long time ago that kept us safe but that no longer serve us. That Yom Kippur is about annulling promises that we made to the culture around us to sacrifice parts of our Jewishness in order to fit in. Yom Kippur is about that day when we annul the promises that we made that hide the true self that we are from our beloveds, from our neighbors, from our friends, the ways that we've compromised and fit into places where we might now show up differently with our full selves. What would it look like tonight to stand in our Jewishness or even a love for Israel, warts and all, without shrinking, without fawning? Let's fawn no more. Let's fawn no more. I can hear Mordechai's voice. I don't know can you hear it? There's a voice, a subtle one saying, who knows? Mi yodea. Is this the moment that you were made for? Is this the moment where you came out from hiding? Who knows if all of us, Jewish, human, all of us and all of us were made for this moment. Last thought, and leave you. No one's late for dinner, I'm hoping. It's just I know I was worried. I was just looking. You know, you talk for a while. In Hebrew, the work of Yom Kippur is called tshuva, to return. That return back to ourselves, to take off the mask, to stop appeasing in order to be accepted. That's tshuva, returning. It's a return to the self that we left behind in some hidden corner of our soul, waiting for us to come home. Come back and get this peace. That feeling that Naomi Shemer, as we began tonight, Hashivenu ve'ashuva, bring us home again. Bring us back to that good place, that beautiful land. It's impossible to go to the end of tonight's service without invoking how deeply each and every one of us, I know, is praying for the return of the hostages. Hashivenu ve'ashuva. I'd just be shocked to tell you that sometimes in various Jewish institutions that I've been a part of over the years, there's been a kind of fawning, a worrying about whether or not it was okay to be a bit too Jewish. The hostages are a humanitarian, not political issue. Those 101 hostages deserve to come home. Those 101 hostages, and we can say it and should say it and not stop saying it without any fear, without any looking over the shoulder. Those are my brothers, your sisters, our children. And so we wanted to bring them here tonight, to be with us in our proud, strong, unapologetic Jewishness here on this stage. We stand with them. We pray in the words of Idan Reichel, come home, tachzor. Just surprise us, right? Maybe we'll just close our eyes and then open them again, and there you will be, hide and seek. Tachzor.
השעות העייפות שלא נותנות לזמן לרוץ, הרגליים הכבדות שלא מוצאות סיבה ללכת, הימים והלילות כמו הפנים שבתמונות, הכל עוצר מלכת כשאתה לא כאן. ומתעוררת מחלום ומרגישה אותך קרוב, ואז קוראת לך מתוך הלילה, תחזור, תחזור היום. כך רציתי שתגיע, הלוואי תבוא בלי להודיע עוד היום. אני מגדל שלום, ממרחקים ששוב תופיע, הלוואי תבוא בלי להודיע עוד היום. Tired hours so very long, the days that seem will never end. These heavy feet that were so strong, they cannot find a stride of reason. The days and nights and all this space, and all the pictures of your face, they stand in silence every day you're not around. And then I wake up from a dream, think that you're right there with me, and I'm calling out to you from darkness. Come home today, come home. I was so hoping you'd come find me. If only you would just surprise me, please come home. A lighthouse in the night, I shine my light so you might find me. If only you would just surprise me, please come home. Please come home. If only you would just surprise me, please come home. Honey, ששוב תופיע, הלוואי תבוא בלי להודיע עוד היום. עוד היום.
Please rise, everyone.
ישמע קולי גורלו בידיך אלי הוא צעיר שמור דרכו עד ישוב אל ביתו בשלום bring them home בשלום
אלוהים היה נותן, אסור הבן שאליין,
עוד קיץ
יצקע מול עיניי, עבדו אי שם,
ראש שנותיי סוף ימיי קרב אולי
Bring him peace, bring her joy. She is young, he is only a boy. Can take, you can give. Let them live, let them live. Ten lion, ten chayim. Let them live, bring them home. Shalom, bring
On page 80, the Mourner's Kaddish. יתגדל ויתקדש מי רבה, ויולמד יברח חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, ועגלה ובזמן קריב אמרו, יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם מעמיה, יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתעלל שמי דקודשה בריחו, לעילה ולעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דאמירן בעלמה ואמרו, יהי שלום רבה מן שמיה, חיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום ממרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. On page 81, Achach Alti, Psalm 27. Achach Alti,
Adonai,
oh, Oh, na, 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 na. Ya, na, 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 na. Ya, na, 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 na. Di, na, na. A couple of very brief announcements as you're standing here. You guys are amazing. We only have another day to go, but we're great. What a good beginning. Amazing. We have so tomorrow, come back, 8:30. 9:30 will be the family service, our youth experience at 11:30, and then breakout groups at 2 p.m. If you're wondering when Yizkor will be tomorrow, it'll be somewhere in there tomorrow. It's in there. And, okay, so here's my challenge to you tonight. If you came in and wore a yarmulke, I challenge you to wear it outside as you leave for a block. Saying, try it out. If you didn't come in with a yarmulke, take one and walk outside for a block with a yarmulke on. Do something tonight that says that your particular Jewish identity, whatever it is, or your human identity is out loud and proud. We're going to leave tonight with the anthem, everybody. Sing it out. Break the roof, everybody.
Change. Help us change. From the heart.
Here, sing.
From the heart. Change. Change. Help us change. From the heart. From the heart. על הדבש ועל העוקץ, על המר והמתוק, על ביתנו התינוקת, שמור לי הטוב, על האש המבוערת, על המים הזכים, על האיש השב הביתה, אמן. על כל רגל, על כל רגל, שמור נא לי, הטוב, הטוב.
Heal.
Help us heal from the heart, from the heart. Oh, help us, Lord. Help us, Lord, from the heart, from the heart. על הדבש ועל העוקץ, על המר והמתוק, על ביתנו התינוקת, שמור לי הטוב, על האש המבוערת, על המים הזכים, על האיש השב הביתה מן המרחק. על כל רגל, על כל רגל, שמור נא לי, הטוב, הטוב. Help us live from the heart, from the heart, from the heart, from the heart. Help us live. Help us live from the heart, from the heart. על הדבש ועל העוקץ, על המר והמתוק, על ביתנו התינוקת, שמור לי על האש המבוערת, על המים הזכים.
אשר עוד לא שב הביתה מן המרחק. Shana Tova, Gemar Tov, Gid Yantiv. Ay, la, la, la. Ay, la, la. Ay, la, la, la.
Yai, nai, 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 nai. Ay, nai, 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 nai. Yai, nai, nai. Yai, nai, 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 nai. Nai, nai, nai. Nai, nai, nai.